Hi, welcome to my second video in my station building series. Please check out my first video, not because I'm trying to drive up viewer counts, just because I kind of go through the whole intro and what I'm currently trying to do with these videos. In this video, we're going to be going in the first video I talked about how to set plots down, how to obtain blueprints, and how to kind of snap your Lego set buildings together. We'll be going a little bit more into detail on that, how you can rotate objects around, do that when you're creating your station. And some things you should absolutely be aware of, including like third-party apps. Notably, one website is amazing for station building. And then in the third final video, I'll be going over, my own personal tips and things that I've learned as I've done this. I will say I just kind of my shtick at the start of this. This is a video by Gamer4Gamers. Not, it's very ad hoc. So when you hear a cat meow, my wife coming, any of that, it's natural. I don't do this as a gig, right? This is just to help other players out. So I look forward to your comments, questions, requests, anything, as long as it's not toxic, because I just don't have time for it. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into um, this second video on station building. So I literally have my game paused right where I ended the first video, and hopefully we can just kind of transition through these. Now I want to teleport back to my home base, so let's unpause the game, and I'm going to teleport there. As I mentioned in the first video, I have teleportation.
Entering system. Grand exchange.
Oh, sorry about that. I have teleportation unlocked, so I don't have to. Yeah, it's nice. All right, so I'm in my personal office right now. Nice thing about this is this enables me, without having to be in the pilot seat of a ship, to engage SETA, which is a craftable object, and it becomes a permanent thing, and you should absolutely focus on that. And it'll be in the third video. I'll really kind of go into more detail on how you can obtain that. But you can also Google, look online. There's lots of tips and tricks. But I have a really good way myself personally. It always, every single time, it works for crafting this, and this will allow you to speed time up 4 times. So this is really, really huge when it comes to the insane amount of time it takes to craft a state or make a station. So let's look at the one I'm currently making. So as you can see, I'm really not doing good on funds, but that's, appearances can be deceiving, right? Especially when it comes to station building. So before we dive too much more into this, let me go a little bit more into my plan build. So planning your build is for your Lego snapping. Every module you know how to make. I covered this in the first one. And then you snap it to hard points. So when you bring like an object out, right? So let's say I want to do this. You can see that this has a basic layout. It looks like there's no other z-axes, meaning up or down. Sorry, cat me on. Got compass north, south, east, west, right? Basically connecting points. Hi. So it will snap on. Now if it's not okay with that, it means there's something happening, like there's a collision. If it's green, you're good to go, right? If it's red, it means, hey, something's interfering, right? So in this case, I think it's actually clipping into that field that's being reserved for large ships to dock, right? So it's saying, hey, you're just right at the zone of that, so it's not okay, right? But over here, it's inside that zone, if we look at it, inside that parking lot spot, basically, so it's good. Now, so that's one thing to be aware of, just laying your station out like this. Now, I have a lot of work to do on this station. That's quite the understatement. Let me actually reload that because I don't want it to look like that. Whoops, we don't want to get into that yet. That's going to give you a headache. So plan build. Okay, we did want that module there. Now, you may ask, why are some of them ghosted? Now, these are actually all complete. As you can see, it's 100%. But why does it still say there's planned and changed modules? That's because I have full turret hardpoint sets on my station. So only things being rendered in have the turrets on them. I hope that makes sense. So everything that's ghosted means it's completed, it's functioning, it's working, but it's not completed because I don't fully completed because I don't have all the turret in place. And so it's still working, it's still doing what it needs to do, whether it's storage or energy production or whatever it is. But whatever module I have down, it just doesn't have the weapon emplacements on it yet. So it's something I'm working on, and because I'm working with Terran, they require computronic substrate, which is extremely expensive. Which has led me to a huge epiphany that we'll be going over, I think, more in depth on a future video. So where should you build your station? So let's start getting into some a little more meat on this. So where do you want to build your station? Well, in what type of station do you want to build, right? So you're not going to be building a shipyard right off the bat. Let's just kind of get away with that, unless you're like cheating yourself some money or something. Then that way you're just cheapening the game. That's not the. Don't do that. Don't cheat yourself money, and it's just play the game it's supposed to, and you'll believe me, if you play it, it'll feel so rewarding once you actually get your empire up and going. And your first station's a huge stepping point. So where should you build it, and what should you be doing with it? So what you need to do is you need to identify areas where it looks like a little conflict going on here. Pillager, SCA. Beware these guys with your stations. These guys will attack your build storage, and also he's not hostile right now. It looks like he's messing with this dude, this high-tech trader small ship. But I have a defensive fleet that's very kind of ramshackle flying around right now, so I'm not too worried. Oh, he's taking some damage. Anyways, yeah, you gotta want to look out every now and then. Whenever you see a fighter craft moving around their SCA, just kind of be on the lookout for what's going on. And if they do attack your stockpile, we'll be going over that in a minute. Then make sure you have traders or ships on hand to pick up whatever gets removed so that you don't lose it permanently. So I almost want to vector these guys in, but then I would be I take a hit with the SCA, so I almost need him to shoot me. So yeah, that's how I'm going right now. My defensive fleet is more than enough to handle him, though. That's just a Minotaur Raider. This Nemesis right here is fully kitted out, so that Nemesis would destroy him. Anyways, back into the matter at hand. Where should you put your things? So you want to identify a spot that is a hot spot. Now, I would really highly encourage you to have your station near a superhighway, right, and jump gates. You want easy access for your ships to utilize that highway and to have jump gates to get to other systems. So by building on this major kind of network of highways, ships are able to, my ships and other traders coming to me are able to get to me quick, right? And I've just built off, ideally I should have probably built this a little bit closer, like almost like this guy right here, right? Even closer to the highway, would have shaved down a little bit of time. So that's first and foremost. Second, you want to be thinking about what is the risk reward factor of building your station in this area, right? So is this spot heavily under attack by Xenon? The last thing you want is a K-class ship jumping in and then bye-bye all your hard work for your station, right? Unless you're at the point where you have a massive fleet that can defend it. But if it's a lot of Xenon activity right there, you obviously don't want to be building your ship, say near, I don't know, right here. Let's show a spot. That would be a really bad idea to build a station. So Hatkava's choice, right? It's probably not going to make a lot of sense to build your station right next to, I don't know, a Xenon defense platform, or say this jump gate that just so happens to lead into Xenon space. So Xenon ships are going to be coming out. Oh, here we go. So imagine if you had a station right here, you'd be getting just non-stop drama. Any guys coming in to bring stuff for you, or look at this, look at all this stuff just dropped from ships, destroyed, right? So yeah, you don't even want to be like this. This is just a hot sector, man. Now you could utilize, say, defensive. So it looks like they're really and Argon have really stepped up their game here. because there was at one point a Xenon defense platform right next to this trading station. But it looks like they were so smart. Wow, I'm really impressed to see this because they did not have these. They identified and said, "Whoa, that was bad," and now they've built up a defensive screen to protect this critical trading port. So that's really quite impressive that the AI went there. You see Xenon even tried to create a factory right there. So yeah, these hotspots can be a high. It can also be good though in a way, right? If you can wanted, let's say you wanted to park yours right here, you would still have to deal with garbage, right? Even ships coming in could be intercepted by Xenon forces, right? So be aware of that. But you could utilize that to your advantage. So especially if you're doing recycling, there's going to be a lot of ships just laying about. You're going to have free resources just hovering around like this, right? But you're going to need to be prepared to deal with that. So I would say for your first one, don't do that. Just look for somewhere safe. Look for somewhere that's near asteroid fields, both gas and minerals. So red indicates these are asteroids yielding solid resources like Invidium, ice, or silicon. The purple, no, not purple, sorry. Blue represents gases, right? So these are your Invidium, methane, helium, stuff like that. Now purple is an overlap. It means that it's got both types in there, and you really won't know the composition until you drop a resource probe in there. Looks like I don't have any resource probes. Um, but yeah, that's how that goes. So you identify a spot, kind of insert yourself into the mix, look at what your competition is. Is there any competition in that area? If there's not, you can insert yourself and make yourself a powerhouse for that area. People are going to be coming to you for your product, right? Now, you would say, well, good job, you built right next to the scrap processing facility, right? But let's take a really hard look at this for a second, right? Just by looking at this, I can tell this is kind of a janky setup. He's got solar panels, but he doesn't have a lot. And it takes a lot to run a scrap processing facility. So one, it's not a really evolved factory. Two, I'm closer to the highway. So I've just basically cut him off, right? In a way. People are still going to do business with him, but they're more apt to come to me because I'm easier to get to. Two, I have a lot more in terms of solar power going on here, which means I'm actually generating so much solar wise that I'm exporting now. I'm actually selling excess solar power and making a profit off that. So that's some of the things you want to take into account when you're placing it, right? Now, you've placed it, and let's click on this. We'll go to the plan build. And now you're like, okay, I've decided you've Legoed everything together. You got everything set up the way you want. And then you confirm your changes. You say, boom, I'm done, right? So by confirming, I mean, like, let's just slap something on for funsies here for a second so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So let's say I wanted to throw that MRE production facility on there. Once everything's done, this will highlight. It'll say everything's cool, confirm module changes, right? The moment you click this, boom, it saves everything, right? Now, my Terran MRE production is absolutely not completed, not even started. This is where you can actually go in and edit and then add your, remember I said every module has Terran placements. This one happens to have 4 hard points. Every hard point looks, well, some of them can vary sometimes. You're going to want to choose and then drag it over. So this spot's got 2, and I know how to just make Terran stuff. Everything's Terran. Or you can just go high preset. It'll populate every one of these turrets, so you don't have to go through it and make it a lot easier on you. Now, of course, you can see this is where the problem with my station has come, is that I've got all these stations waiting for turret emplacements that require Copytronic substrate, which is extremely hard to get. I basically have to get it from across the galaxy, but that's a plus and a minus. I've turned that negative into a positive, and I'll show you that in a minute. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and cancel these because we don't, yes. And then I'm going to cancel module changes, use sure, yes. I don't want to build that. once you've confirmed it, it's going to say everything is okay, and then you're going to need to assign a builder, right? So this will be highlighted. You'll say assign a builder. It'll bring you out. So let's pretend like you just click that. It'll go boom, and you'll be on the screen like this. Except you'll have a special filter. Everything will disappear. The only thing you'll be able to see are builders. So like this guy, and you would right-click him, and then this would actually say assign. So you would assign him, boom, you've now paid for him, and it'll bring you back to your plan build screen, and that builder will now be assigned, and then you're going to confirm it, and now he's going to start flying over, and very important things will happen. You will have a station build storage built outside. Think of that as like, construction sites. They don't leave the stuff inside the building, right? That they're building it. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have, the supplies that they need to build the structure outside. Now, the bad thing about this is that's vulnerable, right? That build storage is very vulnerable to attacks, so you want to maybe have some defenses or be on hand to deal with anybody who comes in and try to steal or plunder your build thing. On the flip side, if you're enemies with a faction, you can prey on their build storages and steal their stuff. And you can also hamstring development. Let's say you see the Xenon creating a station, they'll have a build storage too. If you take their build storage out, guess what? They don't have materials to build their stations. So the build storage is very important. It's huge. So you can expand this. So you have two different things. One will be the resources needed to complete this. As we can see, it looks like the carbonic substrate's actually getting kind of low. It was like a lot more than that. But that's because I decided, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm tired of like bringing it halfway across the galaxy. I decided to just go ahead and build my own Copytronic substrate. And my manager is actually smart enough. This is a nice change they've made, that he's actually prioritizing and saying, hey, we need to complete the station, so I'm not going to sell it. I'm actually going to use this to produce materials, right? So, and we can kind of see things. Why is this Baldric bringing in Copytronic substrate? So my assigned trader is actually bringing in. You can see guys bringing stuff in right here. Now the cost. This is basically your contractor. Your contractor saying, "Hey man, this costs 36 million to complete." Right now, I don't have that much, right? But I'm able to. We'll put him at $1 million, and I'll confirm that. I would suggest only keeping them, if you're hurting for money, keep it around $1 million. And here's the thing: you'll be able to mitigate these costs. This cost is if I needed to buy every single component, but I don't need to do that, right? Because I started building out my own infrastructure inside here that will be providing me the materials. So to give you an idea, this number was sitting at around 60 million, right? Not even an hour ago, right? My station has been cranking stuff out with the aid of its miners I've assigned to it, which we'll get to in a minute, processing the materials up and reducing this cost on their own. So that's why I'm saying this is just a snapshot. This is saying, hey, if you have to get everything, this is what it's going to cost. But you'll be able to eat that number down if you produce the wares yourself and have traders moving the wares around. Does that make sense? So this, like I said, it was at 6. I'm already down 24 million on the cost of this, and I've really not been spending money on it. So anyways, you'll confirm down here. There'll be another button. Boom, you're done. And now we will be going into the unenviable screen of Logic, and I am not looking forward to this. You know what? We're going to go into the third video here. Because my god, is this going to be a little bit crazy. So it's going to be a long video on the next one. I hope to catch you guys there. I hope this video is helping. If I've skipped on any areas or didn't cover an area fully, please ask questions, and I promise to answer them. If you have requests for me to go into more detail, I will. But in the third video, we're going to try to tie this up, and if it's a little too long, I'll make a fourth video. But anyways, you guys, happy gaming, happy hunting, be safe, and hope to catch you in the next vid.